In a new age of watchmen, a team of individuals, pooling their talents and abilities, come together to bring analysis, reaction, and comedy to the fold. This is their chronicle. This is Accounting Arc.
Hey, welcome everyone. Glad to have you back for another episode of Accounting Art. Today we are continuing our focus on non-accountants in accounting. And with me today is Angie. And Angie, welcome and thank you for being with me. Do you want to introduce yourself a bit?
Sure. Thanks, Donny, for having me. I'm so excited about it. I'm Angie Grissom. I am an owner of the Rainmaker Companies. So we have been around, the company has been around over 30 years. And serves the accounting profession and advisory profession. And so I'm an owner in the business and I wear all the hats and am very involved in training and consulting. And we have communities as part of our business. So we work with accountants all day, every day. And it's fantastic.
Wow. So are you guys actually doing accounting? Like what is it that you actually do?
We do not do accounting. We work with accounting firms and professionals and advisory firms in the area of business development, leadership development, and culture. And so we will go into a firm and have multi-level trainings to get their people up to speed in best practices and how to be the best they can be in their roles. And that's future leaders, existing leaders, partners, and many times people at all levels of firms. So we help to equip them and empower them to be the best they can in their roles within an accounting firm.
That's awesome. You use the word business development. And so a lot of our listeners are often students or early career professionals. What is business development?
Yeah, so business development is simply growth. It's how you treat your clients, how you serve your clients, how you offer additional services to clients, because we believe selling is helping. And most people that go into accounting do not go into college or university thinking, oh my gosh, I want to be in sales. But business development is far more than that. It's about uncovering different companies that can use your expertise. It's about taking off your blinders and serving companies holistically and not just focusing on tax or assurance or whatever your specific focus is, but it's about being true advisors to your clients.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. True advisors, because that's what I don't think people realize as accountants that we do. And I often talk about us being more holistic advisors because it's not just about the finances. When we're really operating well, we're bringing these holistic solutions that look at the entire organization and what's happening. So good to hear you kind of reinforce that that's actually what a true advisor is doing.
Yeah.
What is it that you like about the work that you do?
Every day is a different day, and I knew going into consulting, because we're advisors as well, I knew that I wanted to have an interesting career so that none of my days looked exactly the same. And so I love meeting all of the amazing people in the accounting space. They are absolutely incredible. They're the smartest people, I think, that are in business. They're very loyal people. They're people a lot of times, even though they're not known for that. But I love working with a variety of talent, up and coming leaders, existing managing partners, and really helping them determine the best pathway forward for them to be the best they can in their role, as well as the firm. How can the firm approach client service and growth within their profession or, within their firm? It's interesting every day. And so that's why I've been in this for just over 20 years now, which is amazing, but it's been lots of fun.
That I've been up 20 years too. And then something when I say, every time I say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm one of those
That,
old guys now.
that real? I know. You're absolutely not one of those old guys, but yeah.
And I remember when you and I were at, I think it was one of the first CPA practice advisor thought leader symposiums. We're like, oh my gosh, we're with all these old people. And
That's not us. It's not us. It will never
yeah, we're
be
not
us.
there yet because those older ones are still there. So what you do is fascinating. What kind of background do you have, and how did you come to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is in business administration. I actually went back and got my MBA. But my background is in business. I always knew that I wanted to be somewhat entrepreneurial. I wanted to be in consulting. I wanted to be in business. From the time I was a little girl, I was creating businesses in my house and in my room and trying to figure out different ways to grow businesses. So out of college, I looked up and found a consulting firm in Nashville, which is where I live, and it happened to be focused in the accounting space because the founder was a CPA. And I landed there, loved it, stayed again, sort of forged my own path from the beginning. I think I started at the front desk for a month and was told to hire my replacement, went into marketing and then started running the consulting division for many years and then ended up buying the company. So it's been an interesting path, but always knew that I wanted to do something in business with business owners.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Often in other episodes, we've talked with founders, but I think you're the first one where you started working with a founder and worked your way up and now became the owner. That is an amazing story. And definitely I recall, and what was it? Oh, it feels like it was a long time ago, but I think it was only a couple months ago when you and I got to have dinner. Just hearing your story of how it you guys started small and you guys are going through all of this growth, even so applying your own techniques, I guess, to yourselves, going through all this growth. That's been amazing.
Yeah, we are our own lab for sure, because you can imagine the difficulty in selling a sales or business development training, for example, when you're the one having to sell that. So if you don't do a good job selling it, you're not going to sell what you're selling, if that makes sense. So we are definitely our own lab, and the things that we incorporate in terms of co-developing the solution with our clients are the things we teach, and we know they work. So it's lots of fun.
Ooh, the way you describe that is better. I often talk about it as we eat our own dog food. The way you describe it as alive and co-learning, that sounds much better. I think I got to start adopting your wording for that.
Yeah.
Well, you've done work with a variety of firms and people. What do you Is there anything that you would share that you find interesting about your work or work with accountants, especially things that were maybe unexpected? And you've already shared some things that are outside of the stereotype of accountants.
Yeah. I would just say that sometimes people that are in accounting are skeptical by nature. They're very thorough. And so it might take a minute to gain trust and understanding of some of the things that we do in certain firms. But those people are the most loyal, passionate people out there. And I really, really enjoy working in the accounting space. You hear of a lot of other professions where there are a lot of jerks, if you will. They're known for it, just certain ones. And this is not one of them. And so I always, working with a firm, I always feel really comfortable getting to know the players and the people, and everybody is in it for everybody else's success. So you see a lot of nurturing, empowering cultures with a lot of mentorship. And the reality of it is the sky is the limit for people going into accounting, because accounting is advisory as well. And, since the pandemic and even before, I've been telling people, clients need us now more than they ever have. They need their accounting firms. I mean, businesses, think about the US economy and how it impacts the economy of the world. And business leaders need the most trusted advisor. And the people that are positioned there are not the attorneys. They're not the doctors. They're not necessarily the engineers, but they're the accounting profession. And so I think students, especially, and people that are younger in their career, don't understand the opportunity out there and how fascinating, there's so many things that you can do in a firm that are so fascinating, that are beyond what your accounting professors even talk about. I've had some of the most impressive leaders say to me, gosh, Angie, if my accounting professors knew half of the interesting work that we got to do on Broadway. We work with people on Broadway. We work with people in all of these different fascinating industries. And it's absolutely fascinating work, but we never knew about it before because it wasn't communicated. So hopefully you're getting the message out there that it's a lot sexier and a lot more fun sometimes than it's said to be. But it's an incredible profession, or we wouldn't be in it. I'll tell you that.
I love that. As an accountant, that warms my heart to hear you talk about us that way. Uh, Sexy, I don't know if that might be the first time I've heard that
I
that
mean, it's
adjective
something,
used.
you know.
But definitely, I agree with you, and that's part of what we're trying to do through this podcast is really elevate it. So hey, there's a lot more to accounting than just the finance dollars things that you have and taxes that you learn about in school.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, in our lingo, we often see a lot of us as kind of as heroes. And so, do you ever feel like you've saved the day for your clients? And can you share an example of how you might have done that?
Oh gosh, save the day.
I know you've done it a ton. I just need one example.
You know, probably I'll give you an example from this week of an email I got. So we are doing a program for a firm where we have it's a 2-year program, and the first year is focused on business development and growth. The second year is focused on leadership. And one of my participants, who is graduating this month from the 2-year program, sent me a note this week, and he just said, I really appreciate the advice and the coaching and the training that you've given me. I feel like it's taken me to the next level in my career, and it's really impacted me and my trajectory in my career. So I love hearing things like that because, we work with a lot of firms and a lot of people, but those individual stories of people reaching out and saying, gosh, I remember what you said to me. It was this quote, you teach people how to treat you, or it's a quote, your top clients or your competitors' top prospects, or just something that you say within the training and consulting that stands out and makes a difference. And when they come back to you and tell you what that is, it's really cool. It's really great.
Totally with you on that. That's the one, like one of the things I always tell the accountants that I talk to, as an example, is that if a client hasn't cried on your shoulder, whether literally or virtually, like you're not doing your job, because if you really do your job right, you really are just this whole either relief to them. I always talk about it as peace of mind. And that's the story I always tell about how I helped a CEO of a nonprofit figure out how she can continue to operate her nonprofit.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
literally was crying on my shoulder after that. Or the example that you gave, I think, is like joys of tear. Like, hey, oh my gosh, yes, I can do all this stuff. I'm inspired now. That is awesome.
It is. It's great. People don't understand the impact they can have in their role as an accountant. It truly. We've had students that have called us during and after the pandemic that said, okay, you've been talking about positioning yourself as a trusted advisor for all these years, and I really didn't know what you meant until we helped our client through the CARES Act. And they called me and they said, I wouldn't be in business now if it weren't for you. That kind of thing. That's similar to the story that you're sharing as well.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Well, it sounds like you've got some hero traits. What's your superpower?
Oh gosh. One thing that I like to do is I'm very creative and I like to bring people together. I have I think an abundance mentality instead of a scarcity mentality. So I feel like the pie is big enough for everybody. And so I love to work with other consultants. And I like to bring people together and come up with synergies and find ways to add additional value to what we're doing. I had a couple of conversations this week already with some vendors to the accounting space that were just absolutely incredible. And they've created this AI technology in one case and this talent survey in another case just this week. And I was thinking, how can we incorporate them into some of the things that we're doing so that their people are getting put in the positions that they want to be put in and given the opportunities that they want to be put in using both of those vendors. They were separate calls, but it's sort of the same, thought process. And so superpower is probably just, I see opportunity. I see things as seeds that you plant. And I think a lot of people just sort of run past those and run through those, but I see them and think, what can we do to take it to the next level? What can we do with that? How can we help other people through that? So
I like that one. I like that one. Flipping it around. What's your greatest weakness?
because I do too much of that, and I need to know when to say no. And it's difficult for me because I get really excited about opportunities. And then I end up with a lot of emails and a big, huge to-do list and can get a little overwhelmed. And so my biggest weakness probably is just figuring out what the priorities are. I've done a better job this year delegating than I have in my entire career. That was a goal this year.
Wow.
And so we've hired about 10 people and we've got some really great directors in place. And I look up and we have several engagements on the same day, and I'm not the one doing them. I'm doing one of them and not 10. So I'm making progress, but it's definitely an area of concern that I'm working on. So
With you on that. That's my firm's been going through some growth too, and I don't have 10. I've got 2 that are really kind of my right and left hand that are really helping me run the firm now. That's the other thing that I've been handing off to them is like, hey, you run the firm. I'm gonna take a step, not necessarily back, but to the side.
the side, do what your highest and best contribution, and that's what it's all
Exactly.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, this has been fun. Just wanted to give you the opportunity. Any other advice that you want to provide to particularly students or early career professionals, whether it's someone that would follow your career path or to the accountants themselves?
Yeah, I would just say this is a great profession. It is a steady, stable profession that is growing continuously. The sky is the limit. There's so many opportunities for advisory, whether you want to go in and, go into doing technical work in accounting, the sky's the limit there in terms of niches you can be involved in. Incredible work. Vendor to the profession. I've, spoken with a couple of those this week that are CPAs that have actually gone into another direction once they got into a firm and realized there was a need and they had a passion around it. We're able to build upon that foundation. And just really, there's so many opportunities in the profession to do so many things. So find out what it is, find out what are the things that you lose yourself in doing. Like, sometimes when you work on a task, you completely lose yourself and you lose time and you just enjoy what you're doing. We've been doing those things since we were children. And so try to figure out what it is. Do you like talking to people? Do you like, working on puzzles? Do you like solving problems? Do you love technology? Whatever those things are, try to hone in on that and then get involved with a firm and figure out what the opportunities are and just keep your eyes open for ways that you can rise as a leader. Because I'll tell you what, Donnie, we need leaders in this profession. There are so many people retiring and there's so many opportunities, and it's so fruitful and amazing that there's room for so many more people in this. And I'd love to see the best of the best come into this profession.
Ooh, that is very inspiring. Very inspiring. Thank you so much, Angie. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
So my email is Angie@therainmakercompanies.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well under Angie Grissom, Grissom. So connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email. And then our website is therainmakercompanies.com. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. And as an accountant, I thank you also for all of your kind words on our profession. So for those of you listening out there, I hope you enjoyed this little peek at Angie, the non-accountant, working with the accounting profession and all the impact that she's having on us, which is allowing us to help lead the clients in the business world forward. So hope to see you again on another episode of Accounting Art.
Thanks, Donnie.
The Center for Accounting Transformation provides business professionals with a network for utilizing innovations that are ready for adoption, the training and resources necessary to apply those innovations, and an opportunity to engage the talent and community needed to further the pursuit of innovative accounting practices that drive responsible and mindful business performance. Find out more at our website, www.improvetheworld.net. And if you're interested in sharing your own transformation stories, please contact us there.